Hi guys, this is gsnon.com and I'm here with an exciting package. This is the package that contains the OnePlus 9 series media kit for journalists. Inside we have the flagship, the new one. And as you can see, OnePlus is now working with Hasselblad. It's a company from Sweden. They put the first camera with the first man on the moon. Now Hasselblad is a company which dates from 80 years ago. They have a history of 80 years and OnePlus has a history of 8 years. And now they're working together. Okay, so it's quite the huge box that we have here. It's a press kit for media, and check out the way it opens. It blooms up like a flower. And here we have the two special guests of the video. On the one hand, there is the OnePlus 9 5G, the regular version. On the other hand, there is the OnePlus 9 Pro 5G, the flagship. This is a quad camera setup, this is a triple camera setup. Now I'm going to put this to the side and show you what we're dealing with here. So this is a photo of the man on the moon from the Apollo mission, and Hasselblad was there with a camera, which is pretty impressive. Inside this big box we have a compartment here which gives us some bonuses, like this OnePlus Warp Charge 50 wireless charger. So as far as I know, this wireless charger should bring your 4500 mAh battery from 0 to 100% in about 43 minutes. It's got turbine air cooling, silent nighttime mode, and instant charging. Okay, and the other added bonus are the cases. One for the OnePlus 9 Pro, one for the OnePlus 9. They're both black. This one has a pattern which mimics carbon fiber. This one is simpler. That's what the media is getting, the journalists, the press, the bloggers. Okay, so in this video, aside from showcasing the whole identity thing with the Hasselblad, I'm going to focus on the OnePlus 9 Pro. So let's get going. So we're back to the usual format, and this is the regular OnePlus packaging, rectangular and red. Okay, first contact with the phone, pretty impressive. We have the mirror version of the phone, and as you can see, a quad camera setup. It's truly a mirror, but one that fades here into a sort of like mist at the top side. This is glass at the back, and we also have glass at the front. I already set up the phone, so I'm just going to have to fire it up. In case you're wondering about the price tag, it's somewhere around 950 euros, maybe 1000 euros. That's the price for Europe. First impression, not very slippery, quite grippy to my hand, and I'll say it again. It has glass at the front, gently curved, glass at the back side, and aluminum frame in between. And at the same time, it's got IP68 certification, which is something that the non-Pro model doesn't have. So the Pro one gives you the much desired IP68 certification. Okay, now let's see what's inside this rectangular box here. Okay, so as usual, we have this envelope which holds useful stuff, the EU contact, safety information, quick start guide, and a message here probably from the maker of the device. And also Hasselblad, its brand is ever present. The Swedish company is working with OnePlus this year. And of course the metal key used to access the slots. I'm just talking about nano SIM. There's no micro SD here. There hasn't been for a while now on a OnePlus flagship. Okay, what about done with the top part of the package? Let's see what's inside. So we're getting a case. Not very inspired design. This is pretty bland compared to what we'd expect. I would have a transparent one. And this is the cable which goes from USB-C to USB-C and also enables the fast charging triggered by this very generous charger. It has an USB-C connector. It's big and white and promised to juice up the phone up to 65 watts. That's everything available inside the box. I think we've covered everything. Now it's time to focus on the special guest. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. There's already a screen protection applied on the screen. You can actually feel its edges, which are a bit rough if you ask me. And aside from that, the device looks pretty petite compared to nowadays flagships. I mentioned the curvature of the front panel and also the back panel. You can see here the Hasselblad branding has been applied below the two main cameras. And if you want some details, the phone has an 8.7mm thickness and weighs 197 grams. Now the screen you're seeing here, which is pretty bright, mind you, it has a 6.7-inch diagonal and it's a special AMOLED there is an AMOLED with an LTPO technology, which lets you go from 120 Hz refresh rate down to 5 Hz in order to save battery life. That happens in an adaptive manner. This is a 10-bit panel, pretty colorful one I may add, and also it has 1 billion colors to show you. The resolution is also on the generous side, 3216 over 1440 pixels. And the colors which we're using here, this one is called Morning Mist. It's a bit like a mirror. There's also one called Pine Green and Stellar Black. Now that we covered the screen, I feel I should mention that we have a fingerprint scanner in the display. As you can see, it works pretty fine. And aside from that, we have sRGB and P3 calibration and the promise of around 1300 nits of brightness for this baby here. It's called Fluid Display 2.0 and it has a 360 Hz touch sampling rate for gamers. Now the processor inside can be easily revealed. We go here, CPU, and voila, the famous Snapdragon 888. Now it's accompanied by 8 or 12 gigs of RAM of the LPDDR5 variety and also by 128 or 256 GB of storage of the UFS 3.1 variety. As I said before, no trace of microSD, also no trace of audio jack at the bottom or top, and also I think it's time to cover the battery. Now the battery you have on this phone is a 4500 mAh unit with 65 watt wired charging and 50 watt wireless charging. I should also mention that in some countries this phone comes with a bundle. You're getting a present, the OnePlus Buds Z headphones. And here we are finally in the camera department. Okay, now the front camera has been cut in a screen in a punch hole. This one is a 16 megapixel shooter with fixed focus with a Sony sensor. And if you go to the back side, the fun starts. I could actually go into a lot of detail here regarding these cameras. What I can tell you is that this is a dual LED flash, and here we have the two lesser cameras. The core ones have huge sensors, especially the ultra-wide one has the biggest sensor of an ultra-wide camera ever. The main camera is a Sony IMX789 sensor, 48 megapixel, 7p lens, optical image stabilization for the Pro version. The non-Pro one doesn't have that. And well, the other one, the Sony IMX766, is special. It's got a huge sensor, it's an ultra-wide shooter, which also serves to take macro shots up to 4 centimeters. It has a free-form lens, which has a unique curvature, which lets you decrease distortion from the usual 10 or 20%, which happens for ultra-wide cameras, down to 1%. So that's a crazy amount of distortion. I mean, how little distortion we have here. Now, aside from those two cameras, there's a telephoto 8 megapixel shooter with 3.3x optical zoom and 30x digital zoom. As you can see here, 3.3x, and further than that, you're going to be using the digital zoom. And finally, there's the monochrome 2 megapixel camera completing the list. Dual LED flash, 8K 30 frames per second capture, and be advised, 4K 120 frames per second video capture. We have a natural color calibration courtesy of Hasselblad, which contributed some of the features that we have on this phone. Now, tilt shift is one of the cool ones, creates a miniature effect. This is the Pro mode, and this is a nightscape mode. There's a portrait mode, photo mode, slow motion, panorama, and time-lapse. And by the way, when you're using the Pro mode, this is where Hasselblad comes in, and they're offering us their best expertise for the most naturally calibrated colors. There should also be a special 12-bit RAW capture. There is Ultra Shot HDR, so there is a lot of calibration happening here. That's how the two companies work together. They try to calibrate the device's colors as best as possible. There's a lot of things to say here. I'm going to say them in the review. For now, you should know that this is a pretty intricate mechanism, even though on the outside it looks like a pretty basic camera, which doesn't protrude very much. It's pretty interesting to me. Now, we're running on Android 11, as you probably figured out already, which is, well, covered up by Oxygen OS 11. If you've seen the OnePlus 8T last year, you know exactly what to expect. And aside from that, let's try and find some new stuff. You probably saw the whole gaming feature before. You can add games from here. There's also a special pro gaming mode where you can do some tweaks. There's a vapor chamber, and I think I forgot something, maybe related to the connectivity. Of course, this phone provides you with 5G connectivity. There's Wi-Fi 6. There's an USB-C port at the bottom, and I didn't forget about the stereo speakers on board. There's also a special turbo mode, which Turbo Boost 3.0 actually, which totally optimizes the system, and I think that's about it. For my first impression, it's very grippy and very easy to wield. There's still the button here for mute, ring, and so forth. And here we have the power button, and on the left side we have the volume buttons. One thing that has changed here is the haptic motor inside. I feel that it's punchier now and offers an improved feedback, which will be felt especially in the games. Quick curiosity look in the display department to see the tweak you can perform for the refresh rate. So there's adaptive brightness, there's comfort tone, this is the advanced section. The resolution is set to Full HD Plus by default. You can set it to Quad HD Plus, and this is the refresh rate, smart 120 Hz or standard 60 Hz. Quite a few options here. That's something I noticed. There's a Hyper Touch, which can improve response time and can be useful in games. There's the Motion Graphics Smoothed, Vibrant Color Effect Pro, Dark Mode, and many more features. So, Hasselblad partnership sounds interesting. I look forward to seeing what the special features are. Some people may be let down by the zoom. OnePlus has never focused on zoom. They're trying to focus on clarity and colors, and maybe even video this time around. Let's actually go here and see how we can trigger the resolution. So this is 4K, and you can switch between 30, 60 or 120 Hertz. Frames per second, excuse me. This is the 8K, but first you have to go down to 30, and then you can switch to 8K video. And we also have a special nighttime video shooting mode, and we can do special video captures while moving with the ultra-wide camera, but more about that in the review. This is it from gsno.com. Hope you enjoyed the unboxing and the atypical large box from before. Once again, the phone is somewhere between 900 and 1000 euros. I mentioned the bundle before. This is the OnePlus 9 Pro 5G, co-developed with Hasselblad. We'll be back with more soon. Bye bye.